Hey, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. Today I want to talk about money, the power of money. Um, a lot of people have asked me over the years and over the last few months, they seem to always be asking me what they should be investing in. I'm going to talk about that. And what not to be investing in, I'm going to talk about that. A lot of people have kind of distorted ideas about money. Not their fault, but there's a lot of noise about money, and people have a tendency, just like with anything else, to believe what they hear on the surface. They believe what their friends tell them. They believe what they see on ads on TV or on the radio or whatever, and which is a source for a lot of what their friends tell them. And they don't dive deep enough. Money is serious. Money is a serious situation. It's serious for everyone, and it's particularly serious for preparedness minded people. But people don't take it seriously to the point to where they really learn about it. And I think that probably goes back to the fact that most people aren't raised uh, uh, with a what should I say? Well, it's not stressed. It's not stressed so much. Now, there are some families who stress the making, the investing of money, the developing and building wealth. Many of those people do it at the expense of the more important things, and that is the development of proper character. But not necessarily so. There are plenty of people who instill in their children the importance of building personal wealth while also developing proper character. And I think that's another thing that puts off a lot of people is that um, that too many people, especially those who spend a life of struggling with money or or whatever, they kind of excuse their their um, their inability to make themselves stronger economically. I'll put it that way, by emphasizing the importance of character and living a proper life over money. And I certainly agree that proper character and living according to the correct values and principles is more important than money. But I'm going to use a little story here, very short, that Aiden, my oldest, um, shot back at me one time when he was about 6. And I was explaining to him, I was correcting him in something. I don't remember what it was. I'm sure it wasn't any big deal. But I was explaining to him the importance of whatever it was. And Aiden, being a born, I won't say arguer, I will say negotiator, because he is. Um, he looked at me. He listened to me for a minute, and so as kind of a way of defending, his of coming back at me, he says, uh, "But it's not as important as love." And I had to laugh, and I said, "Well, of course, it's not as important as love, but it's still important." And that's what people need to understand about money. Of course, it's not as important as living a proper life, okay? But it's still important. What people don't think about is how money, for the most part, money is power, okay? Now, it's also strength, and I'll differentiate, and I realize here I'm going to do an entire series. I kind of started this a long time ago, but I'm going to do an entire series on preparedness lessons from The Godfather, because the whole thing is just brilliant. It applies to preparedness and life completely. But back to this, there's a difference between strength and power. And I used to explain to my martial arts students and students in other things that strength is an inert, kind of a passive, the ability to withstand or support, stand up under something. You put up a bridge, and the support structures have a lot of strength. Now, I know that physicists will get into the arguments of the fine differences here, or can. I can too, but I'm going to make this just kind of simple. That strength is our ability to withstand, to stand up under pressure. Okay, it's a reserve. It's that reserve source from which we get power. Just think about it in these terms. Power is our ability to transfer strength into external influence, if that makes any sense. Okay. If I'm able to put power into a punch, it comes from a combination of things. It comes from my strength, my mass, and the speed with which I throw the punch. E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. As I've said before, I don't punch at the speed of light, but it's a basic formula. So strength is the ability to withstand, whereas power is the ability to exert influence on the world around you, and money does that. Money is an important element of that. It's an important element of influence. It's not the only element of influence, and I'm going to save that for my other videos, but it is an important source. I've been saying for a long time, stack cash. People have asked me over the last few years, what should I buy? What should I invest in? And for the last couple of years, I said, everybody wants to get into the stock market. Why? Because it's high. That's not the time to get into the stock market. Everybody thinks, for the last couple of years, I'm going to get into real estate. Why? Because real estate was high. That's not the time to get into real estate. You do not get into an investment when it's high. You get into it when it's low. And I'll talk about that more in a minute, because this applies to everybody. Everybody can play the game and build wealth if they do it at the right time. Timing is everything. People have said, I want to buy gold. No, I do not buy gold. Gold is and I said on a previous one, gold is a stupid investment. Do it now. And I saw a comment that said, well, I don't think that gold is stupid. Well, hang with me for a minute. I'm going to explain a couple of things. Okay, the stock market is roaring. It's been kept afloat and building because of fake money being pumped into the economy. Okay, that doesn't last. It's going to crash. Simple as that. The real estate market is going great guns. We've got houses around here selling for $50,000 and $100,000 above their appraised value within a matter of days. Some I've heard of some houses around here have 10 offers the first day they're on the market, and then these buyers get into a bidding war, and the sellers make out like a bandit. The buyers have been taken for a ride, and they don't realize it yet. And the reason that they're doing that is because it's the old lemming type of thing. Everybody sees everybody else running towards it, and they say, well, it must be, let me go after it. It must be something good. The housing market is overheated, it's inflated, and it's going to crash. I'll tell you right now, if you want to buy land, if you want to buy a house, you wait a year, because you're going to get a lot more for your money. Right now, if you remember the past real estate bubbles, where people had houses that they had $600 mortgages on, and the next thing they know, their house is only worth $200,000. Did I say 600? Yeah, 600,000. Now it's worth 200,000 because of the crash, and now they're what's called underwater. They owe $400,000 more than their house is worth. Okay. Now, if you're going to stay in the house for the rest of your life, okay, it probably doesn't matter to you. But you also can't get it refinanced if you want to, and you can't move. You can't sell it. Anyway, that's getting too far into that. So the stock market is overinflated. It's coming down. The housing market is overinflated. It's coming down. I'll tell you a little bit about gold in just a second, but I want to throw this in here. That a couple of years ago, I started telling people the only thing to buy at that time was guns and ammo. Now, those who took my advice did very well. And now we're seeing, and either they've got it, they didn't have to spend it, they didn't do what I've heard a lot of people say, and I heard a lot of people saying, well, you got to get ammo no matter how much it costs. That's a great way to go broke. Okay, first off, you should have had it. It's a lesson in timing. You should have been buying it when it was low and laying all over the place, and everybody's having sales on everything, and then you would have had it. Then you wouldn't have had to overspend. But I also have been saying for the last 6 months, don't pay more than you should for ammo. Okay, I heard a lot of people saying pay whatever it takes. Ammo's coming back now. And as those prices come back down, you're going to see the importance of timing. If you went out there and overspent for ammo and have not needed it, okay, you'll realize a mistake, and hopefully you'll learn from it. Okay, so I said guns and ammo for the last 2 years, and if you did it, you did very well. If you tried to get into the stock market or you tried to get into real estate, you've been buying high, and when that crashes, you're going to be unhappy. Okay, it's all about timing. Now, what about gold? I'm just going to address that, and then I'm going to tell you what you should be investing in, because there's something that is good. Gold. People will say, well, I want to buy gold. And I say, well, why do you want to buy gold? Well, usually it comes down to this, just something that they've heard, okay? Just because, and I ask you this, if something is a good investment, if something is a great investment, you do not hear or see television commercials about it all the time, okay? They're doing those commercials because they need it. They're marketing. They're trying to get people to buy something that people who are paying attention aren't buying, okay? That's the difference. Now, what's gold trading at? I haven't checked for a long time. I did check just about an hour ago, just because I knew I was going to make this video so that I could tell you. Okay, the gold is trading at about $1,900 an ounce now. Now, if you'll remember a long time ago, people would say, I buy gold as an investment. And then when they realized, and people started paying attention and say, the ups and downs, and then when it got a high, then they couldn't say that anymore because, well, it gets complicated, but you don't want to buy high. And then they changed it and said, I don't buy gold because of an investment. I buy gold to protect against inflation. That made it sound very smart, right? I'm doing a responsible thing. It's like an insurance against inflation. And then a guy comes on, William Devane, and he comes on very trustworthy, an actor that everybody, likes and trusts, and says, I'm a patriot, and as a good American, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to fly the flag and buy gold. Okay. I mean, that appeals. It's amazing how many people that appeals to. I can't believe it, because that's emotional. And anytime you start mixing money and emotion, you're headed down a road for trouble and poverty. Okay. I don't buy gold because I'm a patriot or I love America or anything. As a matter of fact, I don't buy gold. I don't own gold. If you had bought gold back in the 70s, back when you could get it for $400 an ounce, and you held it until now, you've made a fairly good investment. You haven't made as good an investment as you could in a lot of stocks, or if you were a trader as opposed to an investor. And I'm not going to get into that right now. When I go into the market, I tend to be a trader, not an investor. And as a result, I'll make more during a certain time. Gold now is at $1,900 an ounce. Okay. Now, the average person who's looking for something to invest in, I would say now, a lot of the people, I won't talk about the average, a lot of the people who talk to me and ask me whether they should get into gold, okay, don't have the available cash to buy more than an ounce or two of gold. I mean, we're talking about $2,000 to $4,000, just a round figure, okay? Well, let's leave it at the regular figures, $1,900 or $3,800, okay? So they can only buy a couple of ounces, okay? And then if it goes up $100 an ounce, if it goes to $2,000, which is about the historical max that it's ever been, it's gone a little bit higher. But if they do that, then they have made $200. $200 on an investment of $3,800. That's not a good ROI, or a return on investment. That is not good, okay, compared to what you can do with other things. And then it goes down. And I'll tell you what, the people who bought it at $2,000 some time ago, when everybody's saying it's high, got to buy. First off, you never buy when it's high. Okay, there's an old saying that you make money when you buy, not when you sell. And that means it's all about buying at the right time, buying at the low point, not the high point. Does that make sense? Okay. There's also a saying that you don't lose money, until you sell. And that's what happens is when it goes down and it hits that valley, a lot of people get scared. They bought high, they sell. They say, oh man, it's all going down. So they sell when it's low. Okay. So they lost all that money instead of sticking with it. When it goes down, you may as well stick with it and wait for it to go back up and recoup some of your losses. Anyway, this is getting too deep. It's more than I wanted to, so I'm going to get to what you should do. But, realize if you only could buy a couple of ounces of gold, and that cost you some money, right? You didn't make that much. Say you buy 10 ounces of gold. Okay. Now you're getting up. So, well, I want to make 10, I want to make more money with my investment. Well, okay, 10 ounces of gold. Do you have $18,000? If you do, okay, good. And if you want to make, in case it goes up, $100 a share, or $100 an ounce, and if you want to make $2,000 on an $18,000 investment, well, go for it. I'm not going to tell anybody what to do, and but I think it's a very poor investment, and gold will go down. Okay. Now, people are worried about hyperinflation. There's a better way to deal with that than with gold. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you what you should do and what most people don't do. You need to invest that money in a business of your own. And right when I say that, 50% of the people just stopped listening. They may still be watching, but they stopped listening because they have a mental block. Well, what business would I open? Well, how do I do that? When I talk to people about starting their own businesses, they immediately, now some will open them and go, wow, that's a great idea. I want to do that. I'd say at least half immediately mentally shut down and start thinking, whatever thinking they're doing, they're thinking of excuses why they can't. Okay? For that 50%, I can't help them. I'm not going to say I can't help you because I'm talking to the ones that will listen. I can't help them because they've already ensured they can't do it because they've told themselves they can't. And so they won't. They won't even try. Let me give you and now, if you followed me for a while, you know that I have a number of businesses. I have always had a number of businesses. I do not rely on the government. I do not rely on somebody sending me a paycheck. And when I have relied on people sending me a paycheck, well, that's great. It's there's reasons to do that. But if you don't have businesses on the side that adds to your paycheck, if you've got a good job, that's great. You got a good job pulling in plenty of money and you got good bennies and all that, that's great. You should and keep it if it's worth your while. Until you don't want to keep it anymore, right? But always be building independence and self-reliance with your own businesses. That's crucial. It's one of the most important aspects of preparedness because that's what preparedness is all about. Self-reliance is not relying on the government. It's not relying on General Motors. It's not relying on any of these other places that on the whim of some suit in an office 1,000 miles away, your job can be gone. Okay? You always want to be building your businesses. Now, let me just give you a couple of examples. Say, okay, we have one of my businesses is a landscape lighting business. I'll use a small job that we just got because it keeps the numbers simple. Okay. Went out, did a small job. It's going to be The lighting, the equipment itself is going to run about $1,000. The labor is going to run about $1,000. Okay, so it's a $2,000 job. It's a small job. Now, what did I need to invest to get into this job? Well, I really didn't have to invest anything if I didn't want to. Now, I did. I went ahead because it's a business. I bought all the fixtures and the wiring, and I have all the tools and everything like that. And that was an investment to begin with. The shovels. You don't need a lot for that. So I bought that. It's going to be about $1,000. Now I have a choice. Okay, I can either go out there and this is an easy job. I could go out there and place all those lights myself. In which case, I keep $1,000. Right, $1,000. It's about I don't know. It's a 1-day job if I went out and did it all day. Or I could do we've had a lot of wet weather, so it's kind of holding me back. But a 2-day job if I want to work slow and take plenty of breaks. Okay, or I could keep $1,000. Or I could pay somebody else to do it and give them $500. In which case, I have now made $500. And that's kind of what I'm doing. Aiden's doing some work and somebody else is doing some work. And I've made $500. Think about that investment against gold. And to make it easier, let's say, so that we kind of up there with gold, if I had bought an ounce of gold for $1,900 and it went up after I watch it every day and it goes up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down, and after a while it finally gets back up to $2,000, I've made $100. Okay, as opposed to if this job was a $1,900 job, a $1,900 in supplies, in lighting and wiring and everything like that, and after $1,900 job might take 2 days. And I go out there and I put up. Now I've made $1,900. Which sounds better to you, $100 or $1,900? $1,900. To me, the $1,900 sounds better. Okay, this. So if we go back to understanding that, and you can say, well, but I can't. I don't have the money to buy the initial lights. That's what a lot of people do. I don't have the money, but I want to get into business. Well, there are plenty of times that I've had people, if it was a big job particularly, I've had people pay the load for the lighting and the wiring and everything up front. It's nothing unusual in contracting to have them pay for the materials. Okay, so you don't have to have anything. You can go into it with nothing. You have them pay for the materials. You buy it. At the end of the job, you've got $1,000 in your pocket. Just using this job we're on now, for instance. Okay, you can build that as big as you want. With the Christmas light business, like I told you, I won't go through all that before. I started out with nothing, didn't know what I was doing. Barely was able to keep up with my business the first year. Now I turn down business every year, and I put people to work. Everybody who wants to work gets all the work they need. Okay, you can do this. What I'm saying is this: your investment needs to be in yourself. And I know that people will say, education and buy books and buy all these kinds of things. Yes, invest in yourself with knowledge and with your skills and things like this. But I want to keep this in the arena of money, because too few people understand or will admit to themselves money is important. Okay, so you invest in a business. I don't care what it is. You can be. I can't. I've said this before. I can't wake up and make it till lunch without thinking of a new way to make money. If you can't think of a way to make money, expand your brain, expand your mind, expand your creativity. Take down those walls that you have put up restricting yourself. And I meant to throw this in a couple of minutes ago. For those of you, there are those of you out there with physical limitations, maybe an older lady out there. I know that we have ladies out there watching this. a man with some physical disabilities. Okay, you can't go out there and do the physical work yourself. So what? You got a personality? Do you have a personality? Do people like you? Can you talk to people? You can start this business. Do you know somebody who can go out there and dig a little trench and stick a wire in it and dig some holes and stick some lights in it? You can put that business together. Okay, so you go out there, you get the business, and get that college kid down the road to come out there and say, "Hey, college kid, you want to make $500 for a day and a half work? Guess how many, hopefully, will want to do it." And then you've set up your business. This is where you need to be investing. Stock market is gonna crash. Make your money now. I should add this. Make money, make money, make money. Because the housing market's gonna crash. You're going to be able to buy a house or land a year from now a lot better, or 2 years from now, whatever. Just be ready. It goes up and down, So people say, well, a year from now is not as low as you said it was going to be. Okay, well, wait longer. It's going down because it always does. Okay, and the stock market's going to go down. And when those go down, you do want to invest in those markets then. It's all a matter of timing. Okay, but if you don't make money now, you're not going to have the money to invest then. Okay, and you're not going to get make more money by getting a raise at your job. Okay, you make a little bit more, you can buy a little more rice, you can buy a few more beans, you can buy a little more ammo when the prices come down, but that is not making money. And you want to make money, so realize this is how you do it. Nobody ever got rich working for someone else, right? That's the truth. And you can do it if you think you can do it. And if you don't think you can do it, then you can't. And then that's where you need to start working then. So that is really no more complicated than that, except it takes active, okay, instead of passive. Too much of preparedness is kind of hunkering down and going, okay, I'm just going to wait and try to survive what's happening in the world around me. No, this is where what you want to be thinking is the difference between strength, which is the ability to withstand, and power, which is your ability to have an effect on the world around you, to project your influence on the world around you. And that's what money does. And that's personality too, but that's influence. Okay, and then we can get into all sorts of different things about what they can do. Political influence, it can change your world. But I'll tell you what, the idea of a poor person changing the world or even withstanding much when life comes home to them, well, it doesn't work. It doesn't work that well. You can say Gandhi and all this stuff. No. Anyway, that's the thing for today. Invest in yourself. Invest in a business. Build the business. Forget about the markets right now, and don't have a personality that's trying to hide in something. Be one who gets out there and makes it happen. So leave you with that. Remember what I always say. We prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. That's the key. Not just survive, to live well. And in order to do that, you have to prepare well. And preparing by investing in yourself and building a business is the absolute best way to do it. Okay, I'll leave you that. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.